17-year World of Warcraft addict gives honest opinion on Final Fantasy XIV. This is Savix. Those of you who don't know, Savix like a PvPer in World of Warcraft. At least I think that most of the stuff that he did was about PvP. So that's kind of like where his wheelhouse is. And he's been playing 14 for a while now. So let's see where he's at with 14.
Growing up, I was always a huge fan of Final Fantasy, especially 7. From Crisis Core on PSP to even Advent Children. Yes, the movie. 10 out of 10. I always knew that the Final Fantasy genre had a strong reputation in gameplay and story. However, when it came to the MMO, Final Fantasy XIV, I thought it was uncomparable to WoW. The God MMO at that time. But expansions to expansion, WoW kept disappointing everyone. The cycle continued, as well as Blizzard never listening to their loyal players. This is how the famous MMO lost its reputation. I'll show you 3 simple steps of what the main problem was. A new expansion is now publicly announced.
Oh, is he going to do the cycle? Is he going to do the cycle, dude? Please tell me he's going to do the cycle. I'd love it if he did do that.
And the beta is released. Players spent countless of hours on beta, testing the game out and point out all the problems that
basically unpaid QA work. For those of you that are in the industry, you'll know what QA work is, even though Blizzard themselves probably don't
exist. The game is now released and the problems are still there for months and months. Players keep pointing out to Blizzard that this must be changed, but it is simply ignored. Majority of the players quit now. Then Blizzard starts making changes at the end of expansion.
This is the key thing about Blizzard. It's like this. Imagine Blizzard is like a giant fucking sloth, right? Just imagine the biggest sloth you can imagine. And this sloth is just sitting there with its hand out, waiting for you to put money in the hand of the sloth. And when you put money, the sloth moves a little bit. The sloth goes like, it looks at you and smiles. But then you're like, okay, sloth, this is really cool, but can you actually do something? And the sloth turns to you and smiles. And you're like, sloth, can you do something cool? And the sloth turns to you and smiles. And that's all it can fucking do. And then eventually, the sloth, with its hand sticking out, waiting for you to put more money in it, and you don't. You don't put more money in it. Then the sloth's like, wait, I like money. I need money. And the sloth turns to you and smiles, but it's not working anymore. You're not putting any more money in the sloth's hand. So then the sloth starts going doing a little dance. It's actually doing something, but it's too late. It's too late. Because you're not looking at the sloth anymore. You're not interested in what the fucking sloth is doing. But this is the way that it goes. Blizzard's just one giant greedy fucking sloth that wants to get as much money out of you by doing as least as they possibly can.
To save their player base.
It is sloth.
Hey,
that's exactly what I said.
We're making good changes. You guys can come back now. And does this work? Yes, it actually works.
It does.
For the majority of the loyal fans that played this game for years.
It's a damn shame, but it does work.
The 915 is gonna be great, and you'll come back crawling, you betrayer. That's right. You just wait, you'll see.
Some do manage to leave from this toxic relationship, but many are still trapped. The endless cycle is continued.
It's so true.
However, not for me. Today, I would like to share a story with you of how I became the warrior.
One brings shadow, one
August
brings
8th,
the light.
2021. Many of the WoW veterans were already migrating to other worlds. Even for me at the time, I was playing Lost Ark off-stream on a Russian server, with a bit of classic TBC to continue my copium journey. I was in a battleground farming honor points, along with the daily messages. Savix, would you ever consider trying Final Fantasy XIV? And I would simply reply with, the game looks bland and it's unappealing to me.
What? How dare you? Heathen.
For some reason, I was pretty close-minded in trying Final Fantasy XIV.
As most
Then,
World of Warcraft
on that
players.
same day, I was reacting to videos because of how boring this honor farm was. And the video that was requested was called 15-Year WoW Nerds First Impression of Final Fantasy XIV PvP. My viewers knew I was a PvP fiend, so they threw in a little bait, and it worked. I told everyone that day that I would try Final Fantasy XIV. And with a little bit of push from my friends, I was in. I needed to see what this game was all about. Savix Adventure of Final Fantasy XIV Episode 1 has started. For a couple of days, I played the game off stream, so I wouldn't have any distractions. I wanted to fully experience and immerse myself into this game. Then, give it a rating, since I've heard so many mixed comments about it. It was a new beginning in this world called Eorzea. The game was not bad at all. It was nothing like I imagined. When I said the game looked unappealing and bland, what was I thinking? This
Exactly.
game is a piece of art. It was a fresh breath of air, and it reminded me of how fun it is to try and explore in a new game. I did also run into a few problems, such as being way too used to WoW's interface. For some reason, I found it very difficult to navigate in this UI, especially the map. I cannot get around Oda. It was a nightmare.
Dude, I've told this multiple times, okay? Navigating the maps of Final Fantasy XIV is not easy, especially if you're coming from World of Warcraft. Like, I showed this last time that we talked about this. I mean, look at this. Here's your map, okay? This is the map of where I am right now. But, you know, this is like a city map, but you're like, oh, that's the entire city. No. Then there's also this part, which is the pillars. And then there's this part, which goes to freaking Ozzy's Law. What? I didn't even know that thing was there. But whatever, you know. Then there's the part that goes to Ozzy's Law. Then you can like come back if you want. You can go to Foundation. But then on top of it, there's also like a different map that goes to like, this is like the outside. But there's another one that goes to the firmament somewhere. I don't even know how to get to the oh, here we found, no, somewhere in here, there's another map that goes to the firmament. I don't even know how to get there, okay? So it's like, let alone, and I have like, how much playtime do I have? Like, look, I can even navigate from this map into the friggin' firmament, and I know that the firmament is here. And I'm someone who has 73 days of playtime, 73 days and 5 hours, okay? But anyway, here's the thing. Besides this map, there's like another map on top of this. Like, look, here's like tier 2 of the map. And you're like, wait, what? What the hell? So this is like a more zoomed out version of the map. But don't worry, there's another level. You can go here. And it's like, what? What the hell? What? What is this? So it's like, it's not surprising to me at all when someone goes like, oh man, I couldn't even navigate the map around my town. Dude, I can barely navigate the map now, let alone when I started the goddamn game. And this is now that I know what the Black Shroud is in Mordona and Thanalan and Lenosha. Because back then, I was like, the fuck is Lenosha? Thanalan? What? Black Shroud? This looks like an endgame zone. No, this is the Elven location with fucking Gridania, isn't it? It is that, right? Where's Gridania? Yeah, here it is, Gridania. See? This is the elf zone. It's like, what? You know, it's like, dude, it's crazy. Dude, it is crazy. You can get used to it in 2 weeks tops. That's not a good thing, Mistrallo. Do you realize what you just said? You said, dude, 2 weeks tops and you'll get used to this map. Dude, a map is supposed to... What? Imagine you pulling up Google Maps and Google tells you, don't worry. In 2 weeks, you'll be able to fully understand how to operate this app. Are you crazy? It's not easy, all right?
Another thing I noticed right away was a lot of reading.
Yep.
This game had a lot of reading, and I suck at reading. Honestly speaking, playing this game really helped me improve in my reading skills.
So there you go.
And slowly
Seems like a
but
good
surely, I understood what kind of MMO this was, and I for sure fell in love with it. The little details it had amused me, especially the fact that it showed rings when you equipped it. I know it's something stupid, but in
And
what
bracelets.
game do rings show, as well as neck pieces?
Yep.
I thought it was so cool. I progressed and learned more about this game every day. I even ended up watching an hour 30-minute documentary of how this MMO was recreated due to its failure back in 2010.
30-hour
This allowed
documentary?
them to create one of the most epic trailers. A realm reborn, a new beginning. Even watching it now, it's so epic. I've seen this so many times now.
So good.
If you haven't seen this trailer yet, you should definitely go watch it.
You shouldn't watch any of the other
And
ones,
I'm
though.
so sorry, but I have to pause the video here. From this documentary, I learned how much these developers actually cared about
No
the
clip
game
documentary?
and their fan base. I loved how open they were to the audience, and big respect to Yoshi P for not tying down their players to play their game. In
Yep.
fact, in the newer interviews, he was encouraging players to explore and try out new games. Where in my other game that I used to play, I felt like we were being abused. And
Pretty
there was
much.
no time for other games.
Because
Not
you were.
until this moment.
Bye-bye.
My journey continued throughout the great expansions, and along the way I've met and made so many new friends, and I would like to thank them all from the bottom of my heart for giving me one of the best experiences. We visited houses together, took a lot of pictures, went to the Golden Saucer, raced our chocobos, and my grass-fed organic Omega Boy made me proud. I'll never forget that 12-hour Bahamut run. Oh man, that was a trip. And big shoutouts to Mada K for teaching me and Miso the legendary fights. I even downloaded Heaven's Fall Simulator to master one of the fights. It actually helped me get so good at landing those. I guess you could say, I nailed it. Okay, before we move on, I want to show you guys this mock. Look at it, it's so cool. These white people happy. I cannot get over how cool he looked. I also had the honors to attend to these beautiful weddings.
I've never seen a
Congratulations
wedding.
to all of you guys, and thank you for having me. And not to forget the jumping puzzles. They
I've
are
done this
mega fun to do and super addicting. Madake also sucks at this. And last but not least, 1v1 duels. From what I witnessed, Alice was farming everyone as a samurai. Even me. But I got one clean win as a ninja against her. Easy peasy. There is so much more to this game than any other. It felt like a complete MMO. I couldn't think of anything that this game did not have. Maybe you guys could answer that in the chat. This game was
Mythic
not
Plus
about
is the only
doing
thing it
laps
doesn't
around
have.
Dalaran or Oribos waiting for queues. It had so much more, and the social aspect to this game was amazing. Time to time, we would sit down in our FC and share stories, or even talk about life.
It's important to mention one thing, which is like the reason you're just doing laps around Oribos is because World of Warcraft, you know, you've done World of Warcraft for so many years. Final Fantasy XIV just feels a lot fresher by comparison. So it's like if all you wanted to do is PvP, you'd still be like running laps waiting for like your frontline queue or something.
It's going to sound funny, but I felt so connected to my online friends, especially during the pandemic. And finally, I would like to thank the whole Final Fantasy XIV community for being one of the best communities out there. So far, I have not ran across a single toxic behavior. Literally zero. Where in other games, I would receive hateful messages time to time. Hats off to you guys. And I guess the right way to close off the video is giving it my opinion, since that is the reason I started playing this game. I actually have a lot of things I would like to say, but I will keep it short. Starting from the story, I think the story is amazing, I did my best in this video to not put in any spoilers at all. I wanted to show a lot of epic scenes, but that is for you to try out when you play this game, or if you decide to play this game. It is a very long journey, and it is worth it. Especially Shadowbringer's ending. There's like a saying for it. If you could go through ARR, you'll love this game. ARR could be the slope that a lot of people have a hard time going through. One of the reasons being is because it's the oldest expansion, and that's the one you start.
It's not an
with.
expansion, it's
so
a
if you
base
could go
game.
through that, the rest is just quality 10 out of 10. For dungeons and raiding, I think, for dungeons at least, it starts kicking off in Stormblood. From Stormblood, I thought the dungeons were super fun and interactive. For raids, they're all good. Every single expansion, every raid is memorable. The music is 10 out of 10. It sets the tone. When you first fight the primals, oh man, it is so epic. Not over exaggerating. I thought fighting the primals with that music was one of the best things. And also, this game did a fantastic job of scaling you down into any raid content you would like to do that is from the older expansions. In WoW, I remember streamers had to do an event like Project 60 or Project 30, whatever you want to call it. We would basically stop leveling at a certain point to downgrade ourselves. But in this game, if you want to do old content with the item level that existed at that time, you could set that up and go through the raid. It's not going to be exactly the same since abilities changed, but you get the idea of how it was back in the day. And lastly, the PvP. I will be completely honest, PvP is probably the least favorite thing I've had in Final Fantasy. I do not think it is terrible. Maybe I'm just used to WoW. As a DPS, I felt like having 1 CC on a long cooldown, it felt bad. I want to keep this short because I could...
Imagine not having like 50 CCs that completely make the other character not playable for like 10 minutes at a time. Thank God for that. Jesus, fuck, dude. World of Warcraft is just one big CC circle jerk. That's all the PvP is in there. It's just like, let's see for how long I can make my opponent not be able to fucking do anything so that I can nuke him into oblivion. That's all the PvP is in World of Warcraft. Jesus Christ. Guys, remember Rogue Mage Priest, RMP? That's what it's about. That fear, those saps, whatever the fuck else rogues do. Then the mage sheeping. It's just like, it's all about that CC. Just keep CCing, non-stop. Shut somebody down so that they can't do anything.
Talk forever about this. And tanks and healers, they are extremely hard to kill in this game. I guess it's the same as WoW, but you have less CC, and you have to rely heavily on your teammates if you play the 4v4 mode. It almost works the same as WoW. You still have to set up kills, but it lacks the potential of being able to carry by yourself, in my opinion. I think that's the best way I could say it. So personally for me, it is not my favorite thing to do, as well as my goal was to get to level 80, then start PvPing. Because technically, yes, you could start
just need to be
PvPing at level 30. However, you will have a lot of abilities that you have no clue on how to use. So that being said, I will try more PvP now that I'm 80, after my Necromancer title. PvP was the reason why I started playing this game, but I fell in love with the other things. I will do more PvP though, I promise. I will close it off with, there will be more news about PvP in Endwalker live letter, which is very, very soon. So keep in touch with that if you're a PvP fiend. But for me, I think I'm retiring and becoming a full-time RP player. I know people are gonna laugh at me. Savix rank 1 Red Paladin, downgraded to role-playing Andy. Listen, roleplay in this game is is amazing, okay? All the jokes aside, if you're a fan of MMOs, I think you should give Final Fantasy XIV a try.
He's an
Coming
RP
from a
main.
long-time MMO player, I highly recommend it. And that is it. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe for future content. Also, I have a second channel, so if you ever want to watch my older Final Fantasy journey, you could go there and check them out. Thanks.
That's pretty good. It's nice to hear about the experience from a PvP player who liked the game so much that he's like, you know what? I don't even care that the PvP is not that great. Everything else is so amazing, I don't care. Why is your glam like that? Armor slows me
Start
down.
clapping. Hey, start clapping. I'll play the scene again when I'm level 80 and I've cleared Ultra. This will be the ending right here, showing the memories back.
There it is. Hey, that dude already has the jacket.
So I'm genuine.
That must have been recent. I've watched so many impressions videos on 14 and can't help getting a smile on my face every time. It's like a mini nostalgia trip. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's nice to see, World of Warcraft players finding happiness in 14. Because it reminds me of myself. Like I said, at the end, not at the end, but when I stopped playing BFA, I was ready to give up on the genre altogether. I was ready. I was ready to give up on the genre altogether. Then 14 gave me a second chance on the genre. So that's pretty good.